you're back in South Bend this week.
Yes, man. I am back home.
We're glad to hear it. Now, we wanted to start out. We had heard a couple of years back you started doing a little high school coaching. We know there's been a change recently. Tell us a little bit. Tell Notre Dame Nation what you're up to right now.
Man, exactly what you said. About 3 years ago, man, and this is just kind of, how God has blessed me, man. As an athlete, the game has been so good to you from the standpoint of me, myself personally, learning so many invaluable life lessons that really all you really want to do is, kind of return this favor, and you actually feel obligated to do so. So about 3 years ago, man, I got the privilege to my first actually coaching job was a head coaching job at a high school. Loved it because for me, it's not, coaching football. It's more mentoring and, teaching young men about life through the game of football. And since then, I've been able to, take it to the next level. So I've been a college running back coach going into my second year now. So went from high school, man. Now I'm in college and just, trying to use the same things that, I was taught the game to teach other young men about life.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And did you mention what school you're at? What school are you coaching at right now?
Oh, man, I'm at Bethune-Cookman College, man. It's a Division I AA school in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Much respect. I'm a 1AA man myself. Played the game back there. How are you guys looking for 2012?
Man, we're going to be fine, man. I mean, we got a good team, a lot of players returning. So, like every other coach, right now we're looking real good in the off season. We're looking forward to having a big year.
Well, prepping for this interview, your best highlight reel online on YouTube I came across. Now, do you know what song is playing right now? You know it's a Will Smith getting jiggy with it.
Sure highness, only bad chicks riding my whip.
Any of your current players, have they pulled it up, talk to you about that at all?
You know what's funny, man? All of them do, and it's actually funny because here I am, it's funny how you view things. Now, here I am, man, I play the game with a lot of passion, and sometimes with that passion, it can be confused with showboating. So here I am, coaching my guys to, just get a ball to the referee and, we don't need all the celebration. Let's just play the football. And, they pull up, hey, coach, but, I wear something I want you to see. And here I am on the screen, throwing the ball, tossing the ball, high-stepping. So it's been good humor for us all, man. My guys get a kick out of it.
I mean, it was so refreshing to pull those highlights. You played with a great flair, and you were right. You were the king of that flip to the ref. But you didn't flip it to stands. You were going crazy right to the ref. Remind listeners, you're on TNNDN Network. This is Autry Denson, Notre Dame's all-time leading rusher, 4,448 yards. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit. I always like to talk to the guys about when they were coming to Notre Dame. You're coming out of Nova High School, Davie, Florida, making that big change to South Bend. And we hear a lot about the academic rigors at Notre Dame. Well, you heard about it in recruiting, but what was it like when you got on campus and you realized how much of a challenge you were facing from the student aspect?
I would say this, man. I mean, and I guess you take it this way. I was a very serious student, and that's actually one of the things that, really attracted me about Notre Dame. The fact that, when I got here, they were graduating 99% of their athletes, and they were also putting guys in the NFL. So for me, that was, I was truly, my mom raised me to be a student athlete. It was actually a challenge. Now, once I got here, Notre Dame was the first for a lot of things for me. First time I got a D, first time. So from an academic standpoint, it is unbelievably challenging, and you literally adopt the mantra of you just take it one semester at a time. You really have to because it really is, it really is, tough. So, all you can do is take it one at a time, and really they give you the support you need, though. So they do a good job at that, but it is a challenge academically.
Well, that's what we hear about, and we hear lots about today that Notre Dame can't recruit the guys who can come in and fulfill that. So when you're looking forward Notre Dame, is how important is for you as a former player and with a degree for them to maintain those high academic standards and bring in guys who are going to get the grades and graduate from Notre Dame?
I think it's extremely important, especially when you realize that the further you get away from this place, you realize how valuable that degree is and respect and that it commands. But I definitely think it's one of those situations where it just, it takes some time. Especially at a place like Notre Dame, it takes time to build a program anywhere. And I think because Notre Dame, because it's a special place from also an academic standpoint, you're looking for a totally different student athlete. So, yeah, it takes some time, but at the same time, I don't feel like you should sacrifice your standards. You shouldn't bring your standards down. You should actually, continue to just recruit and get guys that, will get you to make that turn, the right guys for the right program, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, and I always like to ask as well, you're coming out of Florida to South Bend. when you were going to commit to Notre Dame, obviously academics are part of it, but what was the biggest selling point on your recruiting visit that made you decide to choose Notre Dame for football?
You know what, and I know you'll hear this, and I don't want it to be cliche, because only someone, it isn't a selling point. You can't sell Notre Dame. If I can tell you this, it is either you either love it or you hate it. There is no in between. My experience with Notre Dame was my worst visit I had. It was cold, first time I saw snow, but it just felt right. And it literally is that black and white. You don't know what you're looking for until you get here. And if you get here and it doesn't fit, you're not going to come. And if it does fit, you're going to fall into it, jump into it, both feet first. And that's just how it goes. You either love it or you hate it, and it either feels good or it doesn't.
Absolutely. Remind the listeners, we're on the air. Autry Denson, 1998, 1,300 yards rushing and 18 touchdowns scored. Unbelievable. I read, Autry, a 2007 article. They talked to you about Notre Dame and a number of things, and it said at the time, that was before you got into coaching, Saturdays, you're locking yourself into a Notre Dame man cave with your son. You're shutting everybody out, and you become a bit of a Notre Dame fanatic that you had kind of made fun of as a player. What's it like now when you're watching Notre Dame as far as being a coach these days?
You know what, man? It is. I miss my Notre Dame Saturdays, but I also understand what I traded up for. This is what Notre Dame prepared me to do, to go out and to reciprocate all the lessons that I learned, not only in football, but just while I was here, which are the tools I'm using now to help young men, through the game of football. But, it's the same, man. I actually really feel like even though now I'm watching the game either because I've taped it and, I don't want to know the outcome and any of that stuff, I really feel, and I'm telling you that, I feel like as long as I'm watching, they need my concentration and focus to play. I actually believe that.
There's a lot of fans that believe that same thing. I know I'm one of them. I've got my man cave. I call one of my articles the man cave quarterback. We love hearing that kind of stuff. And switching gears just a little bit, I know you had started a couple years ago, again, before you got into coaching, your own foundation. Why don't you tell the listeners out there what your kind of goal is and what the future you think of is for the Run for Your Goal Foundation?
Well, what we have been doing for years is I'm from South Florida, and for the most part, we were doing a lot of different just youth activities. We were just youth initiatives. Whether it was FCAT, which is our standardized test in Florida, FCAT pep rallies, mentoring programs, a lot of different things. Over the last couple of years, we've really gravitated and teamed with actually one of my teammates at the Dolphins, and he was like a big brother. I've been knowing him since we were growing up, Twan Russell. His mother, she passed away, but she taught me, his dad taught me how to swim, so we literally teamed up and started doing a lot more with literacy and trying to really just fight, to eradicate illiteracy among inner-city kids, because so many behavior issues and different things of that nature are really tied to the fact that a lot of our kids just can't read. So, therefore, they're ashamed, they start acting out, they fall behind in school. So literacy has really become our number one fight, as well as, along with that, pinpointing the things that, allows a young person to fall behind, making sure they have stability, whether it be, home life and different things of that nature, just giving them a stable foundation so that they can go forward and, become strong in literacy. Because when you can teach yourself when you can read, you can teach yourself anything.
That sounds fantastic. I love what we're hearing, and I know that we try and link up with groups like yours and alumni, different foundations affiliated with Notre Dame alumni. So if you want to tell listeners, I know you said you slowed down a little bit because of the coaching, but is there any way they can get in contact with that or try and help out with any of the things you're trying to do in the future?
Well, man, I am on Facebook, Autry Denson, and also on Twitter. It's also Autry Denson, but we are pretty much, we have the Run for Your Goal foundation. The website is up, but we were doing something with flag football. But we are actually getting ready to crank that thing up with my wife taking pretty much the lead on that thing and running with it, because she really is. She's an English teacher. My sister is an English teacher, so I have educators in my house, but she's getting ready to really put her touch on it and really run with it from a standpoint and take the lead on it.
Well, very, very cool. Make sure everyone checks that out. That's Run for Your Goal Foundation. Now you're coaching in college. Remind everyone, we're Autry Denson. This is the number one rusher in the history of the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame is expected this upcoming season to have one of the deeper stables of running back type players than they have in many years. You say you watch a lot. As a coach and even a former Domer, when you look at this unit, what are you expecting out of them in 2012?
I'll tell you, starting with who I feel is, has solidified himself as the leader of the pack, Sierra Wood. I think he is only going to grow. I was just talking about him today, and what I see is he's a hard-working young man. got a chance to watch him work out. And all that's going to happen with him, he'll continue to grow from a mental standpoint, which will make him just that more effective when he gets on the field because his understanding of the game. But he'll just continue to get bigger, faster, stronger, and he'll play with so much more confidence because he's been there. I think he's your leader at that position. Now, competition is good for anybody. It brings the best out of all of us. That Atkins is going to push him, and I think that what's the best thing that happens is when you can push each other, healthy competition. We hear a lot about peer pressure. Well, positive peer pressure is even a stronger factor. I think that group in the essence led by those two, led by Sierra, being pushed by those other guys, I think they'll have a lot of success because of the positive peer pressure they'll put on each other to perform.
I mean, great points, and who else do you want to ask about Notre Dame running backs and Autry Denson? Now, one of the things I noticed from your highlight reels, Notre Dame this offseason, they made the change. They're going to call their running back kind of a hybrid slot position. So some of those guys are going to be mixed together in different roles. And I saw a number of highlights where you're split out wide and you're taking those swing screens and those swing passes. How did you feel when you were a running back, when you got to line up out wide and go up against cornerbacks and safeties one-on-one outside of the tackles?
I mean, it's just another way to get you. I mean, as a running back, I mean, you just want the ball any way you can get it. And you welcome it because, you know, the nature of the position is for you to score a touchdown for running back, you have to get past all 11 guys. I mean, but also with the game being so much, you know, guys being so much bigger and so much faster, you have to create different ways to get your playmakers in space so that they don't have to always take a pounding to make a big play. So, I mean, I was always a fan of it, and I think it's going to play a big dividend for us as well because you put those big guys, you put those fast guys that are used to getting past all 11 guys. Now you put them out there and they have to beat 1 to 2 people. It makes for a good combination for us.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one thing that's one of the big topics in the offseason, Notre Dame is going to open up with a lot of people calling the toughest schedule in America. A number of top 15 programs are going to be playing during this season. And I believe it was your junior year. I think you played 4 consecutive top 15 teams.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the national schedule Notre Dame plays? And did you love the challenge, or is this something that you think that maybe needs to be looked at again?
No, you don't come here for any other reason. You want to play the best. The best wants to play the best. I mean, that's who you want to play. If it was up to an actual player, we would schedule all top 10. Now, that's not the smartest from a logistics standpoint, but just that competitive nature and that fire, you want to line up and play a game of the century every week because, I mean, that's just what you come here for. That's what you want to play. If you say USC is the best, we want USC. You say, you know, LSU, whoever it is, a competitor wants to play the best. So, no, I don't think they need to because, again, I have a problem with going down or lowering your standards. I feel you set the standards high and then you push yourself to come up to it.
Absolutely. That's what we're hearing from all the alumni now. You mentioned you're on Twitter at Autry Denson. You're tweeting out some quotes and then different things of that nature. So tell people why they should be following Autry Denson on Twitter and get your followers up.
Man, the only reason that I actually have Facebook and Twitter is literally because I mean, for mentoring purposes, and really, I am a huge fan of just motivating and encouraging people. I just love people. I'm passionate about people to succeed. So literally, anything I can do, words of encouragement, things of that nature, that's what I feel like we're here for. We're here to help each other, not for ourselves. So that's the only reason I have it, and it's because of that feedback that, you know, I mean, I keep going on it, but really that's my only, you know, purpose.
Well, that's awesome. Make sure everyone check them out on Facebook or on Twitter at Autry Denson. Autry, we're running short on time. Thank you so much for coming on. I mean, Notre Dame's all-time leading rusher. Some great advice for the guys on the staff. We're great to catch up with you. Anything else, last words of wisdom for the fans and for Notre Dame heading into 2012 before we check out?
Man, all I would say, first of all, to you all, man, thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's an honor. Continue to do what you're doing because, I mean, just Notre Dame is Notre Dame, and that's what makes it special. Being, you know, just the entire family. So any outlet and any time we can talk Notre Dame football is a good time. Anytime we can talk Notre Dame anything. And I tell people all the time, I live in Florida. I got enough of the bad guys around me. I enjoy talking about the good guys. So, and you know, and I'll leave you with this. And Coach Oates used to always tell us this. And the more I get away from Notre Dame, I understand it is true. There are 2 types of people. There are people that are for Notre Dame, and everybody that wish they could be. That's it. That's life. It's real simple.
Unbelievable. Everyone, thank you so much. Autry Denson, all-time leading rush for Notre Dame history, coaching at Bethune-Cookman. We wish you nothing but the best for this season. Maybe you'll end up coaching blue and gold one day. Thank you so much for coming on. Have a great night.
And I appreciate your time. You too.